Hey, it's Amethyst Virgo. I'm here with a very, very quick, maybe quick video topic that I just thought of. So, I've been doing a lot of reflection on introversion and loners and what does that look like? As someone who is introverted, but I also do value interpersonal relationships with certain people, right? And so I wanted to talk through there's a lot of misconceptions about loners and introverts and why people are introverts. And I just want to break this down from a spiritual perspective. So, one, I would say the first type of loner, and you may be a combination of all three. Maybe I'll extend this. Maybe there's 4 or 5 different types of loners, but I just wanted to like start to share out these ideas and thoughts for people that can relate to it. Now, this is not only a 12th house person, but the reason is because the 12th house people tend to feel so disconnected from reality sometimes. So maybe you aren't, you know, maybe you're a person who has one planet in the 12th house or three or a stellium or whatever the case may be, or maybe you're a person that's like, look, I don't have any planets in the 12th house, but maybe there is some significance in your chart, to your 12th house. Maybe there is, you have Pisces on the cusp of your 12th house, right? Maybe your chart ruler is in Neptune. And so, you don't have a 12th house placement. Neptune and Neptunian themes are going to be essential. But I did want to talk about this through the perspective of people who often feel disconnected from this reality sometimes. Now, I always say you're here on Earth, no matter where you believe you reincarnated from or incarnated from, or any of your belief systems, we are here on Earth. And so we have to use, right, the earthly experience to be human beings on this planet. And I say that because we have to find ways to navigate 12th house themes in a way that makes sense. And still, we can be spiritual, but we also can fulfill whatever obligations we have on this planet, right? So, number one is the introspective type of loner. This is just the person who likes to go away to recharge. There's no rhyme or reason. They're not trying to offend anybody. It is not intentional. This is the type of person who just wants to recharge. They want to be away from people. They might go out and say, wow, that was enough for a whole month. Now, when you're older, you can do that more easily because you already know who you are. You've likely already picked your friends or who you're going to make important in your life. Adults can better understand, some adults, right, boundaries a little bit better, right? When you're a child, you and you're an introvert, you either feel, alone or disconnected, or as a child, you often have to be in the mix because you don't want to be left out because kids don't really understand this, right? Boundaries and introversion and extrovert versus extroversion. And right, when you're a kid, like, there's so a lot more peer pressure. So when you're a child, that's why it's a lot of people. You have people like, oh, it's introverted, I didn't go out a lot. But you have some introverts who are like, actually, I went out a lot when I was a kid. I'm introvert that always had friends, but I knew how to be by myself. I knew how to be alone if I had to be alone. And of course, there were different times in my life where it was chosen versus times in my life where I did feel like not accepted and things like that. But for the most part, when we're thinking of this type of introversion, it is I need to recharge, I need to be away from people. It is overwhelming sometimes to have taken so much energy. So it's not that you don't want to go to a concert and enjoy music, it's too many people. And when you are vibrating with people who are highly spiritual, even if you don't fully have full autonomy yet or mastery over your abilities, it can be very overwhelming to be in a space and not know how to turn it off. You could, some people can feel other people's vibrations. They feel people's energy. They hear people's thoughts. It's a lot. It's sensory overload. So some introverts, that's why. Even some people who are introverted and they don't, or loners, introversion, they don't know. They might not even be spiritual, but they don't know how to handle it, right? And so that's why I need to be away from people. I don't need to be around people 24/7. Those types of finish. So it's the first one is just more instinctual. It's just I know I function best alone or in this space, or I need to just recharge. Been around a lot of people. The next type of person who prefers to be alone is you're gonna get these are people who might actually not have a problem being around a lot of people if they're like-minded people. These are the loners who feel like lost. They don't feel like they have their tribe. These are people who are seeking something beyond themselves. People who are dissatisfied with their community, or dissatisfied with the people they're raised around, or dissatisfied with the people they had to go to school to, or dissatisfied with their whatever, right? And so, because of this, of course, if you aren't finding what you're looking for, that's why I tell people 12 house placements, you still got to find a way to bring it out, right? You got to bring it out. It's not about just hiding in the 12th house. Um, but you haven't found your tribe. You don't feel connected. But when you feel connected to people, you want to be around them. And if it was a party of all like-minded individuals, or if it's an organization you're a part of, so also look at your 11th house. What types of organizations or networks are you a part of? Can you be a part of? Right? Because sometimes it's not that people are loners because they hate people. It's I need to be alone because I'm not satisfied. What you're offering me here on earth doesn't satisfy me, right? Or my community, my locale, like I'm not satisfied. That's the energy of the second type of loner. It's more so I need to feel connected to people to really be extroverted. This could be an extroverted person, right? When they get into certain settings, they're actually extroverted, but they can come up to some people as, you know, kind of reserved, disconnected, but they're actually people who want to connect to people. And once they connect to you, or once they feel your energy and they know you're authentic, you're likely going to see a different side of them, right? The third type of loner. This is the one that I would say is the most underdeveloped, because here is a person who, this is where you want to be careful of the 12th house's pity pit. You want to be careful of wallowing in self pity. Nobody likes, nobody understands me. Instead of saying, let me figure this out. Let me find something I like about life. Let me find something I love. Let me devote myself to that, right? This is where the people can get really, and nothing's good enough. Nothing can be good enough for these people. And sometimes it's real. They don't have support. And sometimes they do have support, but they have, condemned themselves to a life of, I can't take it. This is too hard. Life is too hard. And life can be hard, of course. But these are people who really, really, really struggle on Earth, with Earth's rules, with Earth's boundaries. Because remember, the 12th house is not a place of boundaries. Okay. So the third type of person can really struggle for different reasons. Of course, each person is an individual, but if you're the third type of loner, these are the people that really just don't like being around people. These are the type that really just, yeah, you can have some people could be, again, we've got to look at the whole chart, some type of anxiety, some type of social anxiety, some type of, disorder or something like that. But some people, so you can have the type who really just hate people. Right. And I think that's a little bit rarer than the first two. I think the first two are a little bit more common in that regard. Now, in terms of houses, okay. Now, the whole chart is going to help us understand why somebody is a loner. You could have a person that has Leo placement and a Sag, rising. But if the degree is in an introspective degree, maybe these people aren't as extroverted as you may think, or they're extroverted in different areas of their lives, right? And so I do want to say that we have to look at the actual birth chart. Okay. Meaning, yes, I've had people that I first look at the chart and they said introvert, what? And then the more I explore the chart, the more I analyze the chart, I'm like, oh, it's because this person's chart ruler is the moon or whatever, or this person's chart ruler is Jupiter, but it's in the 12th house, or whatever the situation is. Okay. There can be introverts, loners of all different signs. But there's going to tend to be some similarities in why. So look at the degrees, look at the house, the sign. Certain signs more likely to be introverted. Um, Now, here I would say that if someone's introverted and they have fourth house placements, that actually means they're more comfortable home. So in their house, they're not introverted. I'm willing to bet you that a lot of the people, like people that have Mars and the Mars who fire in that fourth house, that person that you think is an introvert is not an introvert at home. Now, I guess you could say people feel more comfortable around their family, but not always the case. Some people are really judged by their family. Some people are just they go out with their friends, or they're at work, or they're in part of something outside of their home, they're more extroverted. So it's not a hard fast rule, but I would say like people with fourth house energy, if they're introverted or loners types, it's more so like they prefer to be home and they prefer to be in comfort. And when they're in comfort, then that's when they're going to feel the most close and the most vulnerable to be themselves. If a person is a 12th house energy, I just talked more about, but those type of loners is because of the disconnect. There's a disconnect. This is, Neptune energy, 12th house is a disconnect. And a lot of people are, especially when you think of if you are into reincarnation, you're here to learn how to be spiritual on earth, but still master what earth needs you to do, right? What is your assignment here? What are you supposed to do? But for people who are highly spiritual beings, right, beyond this world, this life you live now, it can be hard because you're coming from a spiritual experience. You already experienced something. You're coming here and you're like, whoa, something's misaligned. You've already lived a certain life, right? And you come here and it's like, I'm trying to learn how to function. Again, this is higher level thinking in terms of like reincarnation and things like that. So I don't want to lose people with that point, but that's what I'm saying. The 12th house is a disconnect, right? You're a loner because you're trying to find something that's meaningful and purposeful. And if it doesn't mean anything to you, you don't care to be a part of it, right? You're disassociated because you're looking for something more. You're seeking more. You always want more and more. That is aligned with your purpose. And that's why 12th house loners, some of them, again, if you're not the third type, but especially if you're the second type, you're seeking something that means something to you. And then that's when the light bulb clicks. And that is when you are more active in the pursuit of your life. Now, if we look at the eighth house, because we do want to look at the water houses first, we're talking about introversion, loner type. The eighth house is almost like this person is always power wheeling on their own in a way, right? So the eighth house can be the house of joint assets. You can inheritance, all those things, intimacy, right? And again, if you want a more in-depth eighth house video, I have a video where I do all of that. But I would say with this type, if people have eighth, it's because they're hiding something. They're afraid of being found out, and it's not about like they're doing something bad. Some people with the eighth house loner, like if you have placements in the eighth house and you feel really aligned to your eighth house energy, it's just this fear of opening up. It's a fear of being hurt. It's a fear of being let down. So when you've been let down, especially people that have heavy eighth house energy, if scorpionic tendencies in the chart, you maybe have people have had bad experiences in the past, been hurt, been harmed, been abused. They don't want to open up anymore, right? It's this, if I do this, am I going to be harmed or hurt? So some people would rather go at it alone. So the difference with the eighth house is a conscious decision. See what I'm saying? The 12th house can often be very, again, disconnected. It's unconscious. It feels like life is happening to you, right? Because you have to master your 12th house, but then earth still moves on. If you're sad or hurt or upset, the world still moves on. And so the 12th house can feel like unconscious. The eighth house is rather conscious, and the fourth house is just that intuitive nature, right? So the eighth house allows for there to be a different level of this person is like, life has been so hard, I'm just going to do it on my own. Everything's so difficult, I'm just going to do it on my own. And so there's a fear of asking for help, right? It's a fear of depending on somebody. So if people have like this identify as a loner, introvert, whatever the case may be, and they eighth house placements, that's likely what that experience is going to be like. Now, if you have fourth, eighth, and 12th house placements, it would all depend obviously on what are your dominant signs. Your dominant planets. Which energy is the most essential to understanding who you are, right? So there's a difference between a person that has 4 planets in the 12th house, maybe 1 in the 8th house, maybe it's an outer planet, and it's not as impactful to their life as like their personal planet. So again, everything is related to looking at the person's individual chart. However, I just like to break down concepts in astrology and help you see ways to look at things thematically. And that way you can start to identify patterns and how this thing may show up in your life or the lives of others.